sure that you're in a peaceful state. And another one was liberation of spirit. Now that's an interesting one to me. I really, really like that one. I think it's interesting. And to do that, obviously, you have to figure out, like you kind of said, what your desires are and free yourself from the desires, but also having a true understanding of the world and your place in it, and understanding that you have the choices. You have the ability to choose your path forward, as long as you're not, overstepping your bounds of the law, as long as you're obedient, but to liberate your spirit, educate yourself, become righteous, become strong, and, free yourself from whatever ignorance you were in, or whatever bondage you were in, or whatever vices you were living in, you could liberate yourself. And so, basically he becomes a spiritual man, but he has to transform himself, and then once he transforms himself, he then transforms the way that he governs. And that's where it gets really interesting, because he does put up these edicts, he does start these programs which manifest the political document that you referenced earlier that was kind of like Machiavelli. He puts those into practice. And so it's, back in this day, this is unprecedented. You have to understand that we're talking about ancient classical era. And, if you're a ruler, you're an emperor, you're focused on, how to have the best entertainment at your dinner, how to make sure that the military is running well. You do not care about the lives of the daily pleb, the average citizen, the everyday person, the everyday Joe out there, working at the cow dung factory or whatever, or the elephant dung factory. But Ashoka actually makes it a part of his administration to go out and talk to the common people and to try to help them understand that their welfare is his number one priority now. It isn't the welfare of, obviously it's the empire, but he believes the best way to create a strong empire is to empower the people. And that's a fundamental shift that we don't see happening a lot in ancient rulers, is where they focus on the everyday person and making them strong. And that's one of the things that he did that was, to me, very interesting, that, he focused on these people. But here's an interesting concept that Ashoka had, and this is why I would call it more progressive as opposed to libertarian, is because Ashoka believed that people need to be influenced, or people needed to be pushed to also practice moral, dharmatic behavior. It wasn't just about the ruler being the philosopher, king, ruler, type ruler. No, the people had to do their duty as well. So it wasn't just about a wise administration that was doing all these infrastructure projects, making sure that everything was paid for, that there was no war, defending the empire. The people themselves had to become more righteous. And he made it his mission to cultivate that among them. Now, he didn't kill people if they didn't subscribe to his beliefs. He didn't try to, he wasn't tyrannical about it. He just offered his values over and over, and he made sure that everyone knew his values. And that's something that we don't really, in an American context, that's not something that we believe a ruler should be doing. A ruler shouldn't tell us how we should believe or feel, or what moral values we should put as first and foremost. To me, that doesn't seem like something that we do here in America. I see. How do you feel about that, Nick? Like sort of having an embodiment of morals, and then saying you need to change your behavior and be more like this. Is that something that you see that American government does right now?
I would say yes in that regard. The American society does do that because, mind you, if you go by in terms of how America operated, or rather how it was born in, or the principles that it uses, they're very specific, or they're very much inspired by them. Now, if we were to talk about whether they impose it on other people, I would say it's more like a set of guidelines that, look, we want you to follow these set of principles so that, one, you can better fit with society, and that we won't have any type of disputes that are going to harm society as a whole. So that's where I would say yes, but not to the point of basically shoving it down someone's throat.
I mean, to me it seems institutional. It seems institutional. And what Ashoka's doing, he's calling on the people to do something. It's kind of like, ask not what your people can do for you. Ask not what government can do for you. Ask what you can do for the government. That's kind of the only time that I hear this kind of governmental philosophy being used. Because in the presidential debate, I don't care anything about what is proper moral behavior.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything about
What's the
how,
right way of doing
yes,
things?
what's the right way of doing things. It's, here's what I'm gonna do, here's how it's gonna benefit the country. So the Ashoka is saying, here's what you need to do for this country to be great.
Yeah.
And we do, I think at an institutional level, at a cultural, traditional level, we do these things.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, in
Yeah.
terms of a cultural sense
We do.
and legal sense, I would say for
Yes.
the most part, yes. Because if you start having a whole different thing coming into play, like I said before, you're gonna cause disputes or miscommunication. So you need to have a set of standards, otherwise it's not going to work, especially for a society like the United States, where you need to have those standards. Because if you have someone, say, from another culture that follows a whole different set, yeah, that society, those,
corrupt.
yeah, well, it's not just whether they can become corrupt or not, or rather, you got two different groups that have two different ways of viewing things, and it becomes a lot harder to govern when you have a multiple, what's the right word?
Multiple interpretations of what's
Yes, multiple interpretations that can be, what's the right word?
seen as true.
No, confrontational.
Yeah. So yeah, so he did that, and he made it his number one priority to make the lives better for the people. Now isn't that when we all want from our rulers, right? For them to be, you know what? I don't care what's going on in Afghanistan. I'm not trying to make their lives better. I want your life to be better. How can I help you? And that's a big thing. That's a huge thing, and that's what makes him rare. That he actually made that leap. And so he did some interesting things in his administration that are worth pointing out. The first is he started one of the first recording, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but like institutional healthcare system. Obviously back then it was down to herbs and medicine, but he made it a priority to set up institutions that would heal not only people, but cattle for some reason. He wanted to make sure that he really had a thing for all life. And so he made sure that if you were sick, you were going to be healed. If they had a cure for you, he was going to make sure that under his administration, you were going to find access to a way to heal you from whatever infirmity that you might have.
There are only a few societies, roughly around the same period or before, that have done something similar. The only ones I can think of right now are pretty much the Chinese, the Egyptians, the Persians, the Persians, Achaemenid Persians, the Greeks to a lesser extent, and then near the end of the Roman era, they've had something like that, but it wasn't that common per se in the age of antiquity.
Yeah.
It was more of the herb type.
Yeah.
But as they conquered other societies, they adopted those pieces.
Yeah.
So,
And this was something that I'm pretty sure that he felt was, because if you think about it, if you value the people, and there's a guy over there who's sick, he's got, he's got a virus, he's got like lupus or something, and you can heal him. And what happens if you heal this guy? He no longer has to be stuck, in his room, coughing, wheezing,
or even being a burden.
yeah, I would say burden, but just not non-productive.
More like a cost.
Non-productive. I wouldn't say cost, because that dehumanizes it. But not productive to the level that it could be. And so, for Ashoka, it's like, how can I get this guy to live a better life, be a happier person, to be more in tune with his Dharma. And obviously you have to free him from whatever sickness that he has. And I think that's how he's thinking about it. He's not thinking about it from a top-down perspective. He's not thinking about these are just toy soldiers and they got to be good so that they can serve the state. He's thinking about it from their point of view. That how can they live a better life? What can I do to enable them to live a better life? The first thing that I can do is make sure that they're not sick if they don't have to. And so I thought that was really cool. And that type of compassion is very rare from a leader like this. And he also did some cool things like started infrastructure projects to allow people to be able to travel throughout the country. But he also made sure that it wasn't just a functional type, I built a road and then that's it. He made sure that he planted large fruit trees all around these roads so that if you had to travel from one place to another, you could take a rest under a tree to have shade. And then these trees had fruit so that you could sustain yourself. So he sort of really thought about how to make, life better in that situation if you're traveling which the other countries like Rome just put roads. Okay, that's it. You're on your own.
Right, but I mean, at the same time, it was better to have a road than just a dirt one.
Yes, absolutely.
But, I mean, I do understand where you're coming from,
Yeah,
and that
it's
does
just
make
that
sense.
it's going above and beyond.
Yeah,
It's going
of
above and
course.
beyond.
That's the difference between a working society, a good society, and a great one.
And so he also, no cost, well, maybe, I'm sure they have that. But he created wells all throughout the empire so that people had water to drink. And yeah, so he felt like if people were happy, they would be able to conform better to morality. And this is something else that he did, which I thought was an innovation. And you can again correct me if I'm wrong here, Nick. But he appointed officers of morality. So he had a department that had people that he personally appointed to go around and try to cultivate virtue among the people, to try to, establish morality among the common people, just letting them know that, hey, this is a way that you could live, here are the benefits. And not only did he use these ministers to establish morality, but he had benefits if you lived a moral life. If you were a person that had proved that you had integrity, you were a moral person, he would give you welfare benefits. I'm not sure if these were cash payments, if this was land, if this was favors, but there was a system where you would be rewarded if the ministers reported that you were somebody who was outstanding in the community.
So that's an interesting thing.
Yeah,
but I
it's
think
quite unique.
Yeah, it is. I would say it's fairly unique. I would say if I were in their position, honestly, the best method would be tax reductions. In all honesty,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, I think that would be a pretty decent way of it, because you could go more than that, but the problem is if you do that, people could become dependent on you.
Yeah.
So the best, in my opinion, the best way of doing it would be just lower taxes.
Yeah.
If it's proven that you are someone of a higher, higher morality, I guess you could say, more upstanding, there you go.
Yeah.
And when you were mentioning about Ashoka picking the ministers, if I remember right, in the book that we were talking about earlier, it actually makes a reference to what to see in ministers, basically the screening of them to see if they're good. So if I ever get the chance and come across that book again, I'm definitely gonna get a hold of it. So I
Yeah,
can
we'll put
read
it in the show notes. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes, if we can get that later, we'll update it. Because I think that's very, to me, that's very interesting as a politician, a political science major. What Ashoka, what this person would want to look for in a minister.
Yeah,
That's always,
what makes
that's
a good
always-
ruler,
yes.
and what kind of ministers to look for
Because
in order to be a good ruler.
you're putting someone in a position where they're telling other people this is the right behavior. So you have to make sure that these ministers have
Yeah.
integrity. Like this minister is righteous. You got someone who's not righteous telling other people how to be righteous, it's just not going to work.
Well, yeah,
So-
but then there's also the ones where picking people to support you or be a part of you, whether it's a business, whether it's the military or in politics. The thing about it as of right now, it's more than art.
Yes.
See, because here's an example. Well, here's the way it goes. Because you could pick anyone that sounds like they have a good moral standing, but the minute you give them power, everything changes. They become the exact opposite of what you thought they were going to be. And then the people that you thought were the evildoers, were dressed bad, and they were going to do evil things, but then when you put them in power, in some cases, they end up being the best you will ever find.
It's a talent.
It is
to
a
be
talent.
to be able to look at someone, to interview them, to be around them, and then to make the judgment on whether this person is a righteous person and is suitable to lead a position of authority where you're going to be then propagating righteousness and cultivating righteousness. That is something that I think Ashoka could do. From what I've read about Ashoka, he has that particular skill, that talent to discern people's hearts.
Yeah, the last thing you need is a minister that becomes the puppeteer that controls the ruler.
Yes.
So basically, almost a kingmaker.
That's why I think it had to be, that's why I think it made sense to be an appointment type thing, where it wasn't a gradual, the ministers decide for themselves who could be the person, who could be in. That's why he had to be like, no, only me, I gotta choose, because if I institutionalize it, institutions always become corrupt over time. And so while I'm alive, I can do this job. You might disagree, but I thought because Ashoka is such a unique person, He's so rare that he would be able to handle this type of thing. And we're getting to the end here, but Ashoka was able to live for 40 years.
That's a pretty good reign.
Peacefully after this Kalinga battle. And he's able to live peacefully, prosperous. His empire flourished, you know, arts, academics, culture, everything you could possibly imagine. Was able to flourish for 40 years. And real quick, before I pass it on to, you know what, let's go ahead and go back to Nick. And so what happens after Ashoka? Once he dies, and then, you know, we don't have this philosopher king, virtuous leader, who was once a leader man, but...
Well, sadly, the empire starts to crumble. That's the sad part of what happens when you have a set of great rulers. One, it's kind of hard to be of equal standing to them because they were so good, but it was a downward spiral for the next 50 years after Ashoka's passing. From what I've read, they said there were several reasons as to why the empire fell apart, but predominantly it was because they did not have the leadership to it. Now, what happened when Ashoka died is one of his kids that took over, he was blind. That's going to be one issue right there. And then the other sons, one was a governor, not necessarily great in one of the provinces, and then the other one, if I remember right, was not exactly a good leader in general. So the only one that was good was the blind man.
Yeah, and that's, I mean...
Yeah, that was the first problem. Second problem was that once the blind one died, his son took over, and he wasn't that good of an administrator either.
Incompetent,
gradual.
Because people sense weakness. And
Oh, yeah.
When it's an opportunistic thing, when these rivalries can spark up revolts,
Yeah,
and
because
carve away territory here and there, and undermine the system here and there, and eventually these things collapse. If you don't have a ruler that can preserve that power, can preserve the position, preserve the...
I would see integrity. This is where I find it great that the three great Marian rulers were able to set in road networks to better administer the empire. However, the empire was still too large. At the height of Ashoka's reign, it was said to be somewhere around 50 to 60 million in his domain. That is unprecedented. You have almost no empire has been in that time period has ever been of that size. Not many could boast that kind of size. You could say maybe the Chinese were able to get that big, but again, that's very rare.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I said that was a problem was that unless you're a great ruler, you can't be there all at once, and you need good ministers, and you need a lot of them to be around. But if you're not that good of a leader, you're not going to be that good at picking ministers, or if you did pick good ministers, those ministers will take advantage of you, and then everything starts spiraling down.
Unfortunately, you had, three great leaders, and after Ashoka, things kind of got out of hand.
Yeah, it just started.
A gradual degradation of the empire.
And it's not just that. You also remember when you mentioned about revolts from all the previous rulers? Now remember, this is an empire that was built in one generation and was only slightly increased on the second generation, and again, slightly increased under the third one. Now think of it like this. You have multiple nationalities that were just conquered into one political entity.
Right.
What happens when all of those great rulers are gone? You got incompetent rulers or incompetent ministers that are not able to fulfill the desires, needs, or wants of those 60 million subjects. Those 60 million subjects are going to either revolt, or they're going to start reminiscing of the past, and they're going to want their own independence. Or, in the case of what happened with the last monarch in 185 BCE, the generals get power hungry because they say, ooh, this is something I can take advantage of. I could become the ruler of the nation, and I know what's best.
Well, Nick,
so I will get rid of the ruler.
It seems that we're running out of light. The sun seems to be setting on us because we are at Taylor Murphy's History Building, and above us there's no roof. So that's why video might be a little bit darker.
You're right.
And the sun is also setting on this podcast. I think, Nick, I have a quote that I want to give by Ashoka to end it. But before we give this quote, given all that we've talked about, the history of the Mauryan Empire, this great character of Ashoka, who is really someone who's really interesting, who, if at the Wisdom Factory we value wisdom and virtue, and if you do as well, Ashoka is someone who is a case study in virtue. Because most virtuous people aren't all good. They have a history.
All people have problems.
They have their problems. Now, Ashoka was the extreme of that, and he was also the extreme of virtue. So there's a lot to be learned here for potential leaders, for people who are just interested in morality and ethics, people who are interested in governance, people who are interested in power, people who are just interested in humans. I think at the end of the day. So I would highly recommend Ashoka as someone to look into and to sort of set up as a, what's that term? A moral exemplar?
An example?
No, it's a concept. I think it's like someone who lived righteously. We didn't talk about it. They actually lived righteously. And I think he became a moral exemplar. Obviously,
someone to look up to?
Yeah, someone to look up to, someone to model as far as modeling virtuous behavior. I think he's someone who fits that mold, and Buddhists certainly use him as, the prototypical, archetypical leader of someone who's righteous and who has power, and who exercises that power in accordance with Dharma. So that's what I want to say, Nick, before I leave it to you. But in terms of the Wisdom Factory and what we're trying to do here, wisdom and virtue, and all that we talked about today, what are some final thoughts that you have to leave people with?
I would say it's kind of something towards Ashoka, because we both mentioned that he was both extremes. He was both one of the best rulers that ever existed, but in the beginning, he was one of the most terrifying. So, under the book that we kept referencing, and also to the Machiavelli, what makes a strong ruler is one that's not only loved, but also feared. Because what made Ashoka very special was that even though he had this trend of going into Buddhism, or making Buddhism a very much a major religion up to the modern day, people saw him as weak because of that viewpoint, and they tried to take advantage of it. However, he had to be the monarch of an empire of 60 million or so subjects. He had to be able to make the call and kill opponents when necessary. And I think that's where a lot of people seem to miss. It's that, yes, it's good to be a great leader, don't get me wrong. However, people will always see that as a weakness, and you need to be willing to make the tough calls. Sometimes you need, the best way of putting it is, sometimes you need to break some eggs in order to make an omelet.
Perfect, and that's it. And I love that point, Jim. That is so important, because we talk about wisdom and virtue, and I particularly, value virtue because that's something that is not taught anymore. That's a lost art. And no matter where you look, the Hindus have a conception of it that perfectly aligns with the conception that the Africans have with the Ubuntu tradition, to what we have in the Christian tradition, to what Aristotle had in classical philosophy. I mean, this stuff exists. This stuff exists, and it does empower you. But people have a totally wrong conception of it, that if you're going to be virtuous, you're going to be. And the best way that I can help you understand what we mean by virtue, is look at a hero. Look at a hero. What is a hero, right? A hero, look at Captain America.
A good
or
person.
Iron Man.
A good person, but he needs to throw punches in order to save people.
A good person, but if you're an evil villain and you're trying to mess with this person or mess with innocent people, you're going to get knocked,
Yeah, you're going to be knocked out
knocked
pretty
out.
quickly.
The hero is always very strong and always very competent and always willing to use that force and that strength against the enemy of righteousness. And that is where I think we'll get into Ashoka's final quote for this amazing podcast that I've had, Nick, with you. And that is, may the partisans of all doctrines in all countries unite and live in common fellowship. For all live to profess a mastery to be attained over oneself. And that mastery leads to the purity of the heart. So,
I kind of wish I could recite the sutra right now that I mentioned earlier, because I really like that sutra. Because again, it's
so
on
yeah, look at
humility.
the sutra if you guys want some more quotes like that. To me, well, what does that quote mean to you, Nick? So to me, okay, so may the partisans of all doctrines and all countries unite and live in common fellowship. For all alive profess mastery to be attained over oneself and purity of the heart. So that's just like, it doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what moral philosophy you have. It doesn't matter what sect you're a part of. Everyone understands that you have to master yourself. You have to master your emotions. You have to master your decision making. You have to master making the choices that are going to bring you closer to living your purpose in life. And a huge part of that is, you need to find a purity of heart. A purity of heart that only comes with living righteously and righteously.
Right.
And I don't think anyone's going to have a perfectly pure heart.
We all wish.
Yeah, but you have people who are on the spectrum of a wicked heart and a more pure heart. Is there anything else that you can derive from this Ashoka quote?
I would say not necessarily that quote, but that quote definitely
Okay.
fits with the sutra that I mentioned earlier, and that in order to be, how to achieve happiness or to be a good ruler, you need to have inner restraint, a very victorious one at that. And then in order to have that great inner restraint, you have to have good humility, and in order to have good humility, something along the lines of you need to have a good heart, you need to be one of stable mind, all of these different things, and not be weak-minded or weak-willed. You need to have a strong will in order to achieve some of the goals that you have in store, whether it's the tangible, intangible, the physical, the non-physical, the mental, or the ones that you touch, see, or hear. You need to be able to make those kind of decisions, even though that you may know that it's the best decision and everyone else knows it, people still not want that. Either because it changes everything about their lives, or it threatens their benefits.
Well said, Nick. Well said. Well, it was our pleasure to bring to you guys the information of the Maori Empire. It was a pleasure to do the research. It was a pleasure to talk about Ashoka. And Nick, it was awesome to listen to you explain the Maori Empire and help me get an understanding of it. So thank you for being here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe below, and that is it.